I was a door-to-door salesman selling clothes, cosmetics, Venky's chicken, pile chappal, door to door. So there were people who banged their doors on my face. There were people who not only opened the doors but opened their hearts and welcomed me. There were people who bought even when they didn't require, because they knew if they buy, it will help me to study in college and take education. We were the largest computer education company in Mumbai. We trained more than 4.5 lakh students across Mumbai, Thane, Navi Mumbai, and Nasik over a period of 27 years. Doctors started recommending Sante spa cuisine.
Oh, wow.
That if you want to have a cheat day, go and have at Sante. You get me? So the promise is honestly healthy. And the proof is 90% of our customers keep coming back to us. You need to be bootstrapped as much as possible. You need to raise money as late as possible. You need to get cash positive before you want to raise money. You get a better valuation. Point number one. Point number two is, do not take money from investors as pure investors. They don't add any value to your business. Always try to take money from strategic investors who will not only give you money, but they will also mentor you. Every game has its rules. So learn the rules and change the rules. Become a game changer in any and every business that you indulge into. Because if you are not the game changer, you are one of the many. The India growth story is going to be crazy in the next 50 years. The mutual fund, the stock market growth in this country is going to be crazy. You need to have a pie of that cake. Okay. So in this 34%, 75% should go towards mutual fund. 25% should go to your insurance. This at the end of the day, when you fall back on bed, which you do every day, you should feel happy, you should feel satisfied, and you should sleep with a smile on your face.
That's so important.
So that's critically important, and that can happen only if you're in the race of happiness. If you're in the race of money, that smile will never be there on your face.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Level Up podcast. Our guest today is Mr. Agnelo Rajesh. He's a remarkable serial entrepreneur, educator, motivational speaker, and author. Today, he stands as the founder and chairman of St. Angelo's group of companies. His ventures span across various sectors, including real estate, hospitality, technology, and education. And he co-owns the innovative Sante Spa Cuisine, which focuses on fresh, organic, and natural food. As a real estate developer, he has built resorts and various luxury villas across the country. Agnelo Rajesh is not just a strategic investor, but also a mentor that helps people grow and succeed in life. In our conversation today, we touched upon topics such as hustle culture, success secrets of the rich, real estate investments, bootstrapping, innovation, and a lot more. If you're an entrepreneur or looking to be one, this episode is for you. Hi, Mr. AR. Such a pleasure to have you on the podcast. While researching, I understood that you've had such an incredible journey, and I'm so happy to have you on the show because the life you've led has been an MBA in itself, and the life you've led is also so inspiring. And I feel like it can give hope to a lot of people watching this because they might be in a similar position as you, and if they see your journey, they'll feel like they can reach where you are. So, thank you so much for being on the show. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome all the time. Thank you, Karan, for inviting me on your podcast. Looking forward to the very interesting and intelligent interaction.
Yeah, no, absolutely. My pleasure. And to begin the podcast, I have to start with your incredible journey. Please take us through what it was like, what your childhood was like. I know for a fact that at the age of 13, you started working at a Bindi Factory, and such an incredible journey from there. So, can you take us through that journey?
So I've been blessed to have a very economically challenging background, and like thousands of Indians, I'm also a story where we began from small, economically small, never short of ideas or dreams, never short of ambitions,
Yeah.
but we were short of funds at the childhood stage of my life. But that's what a great country is made of. Like thousands of people like me, when they change the fate of their personal economies, that's where the economy of the country changes. India is on the march, on the journey towards becoming a developed country, and more people like me, like I said, there are thousands and lakhs of people like me, are the people who will change the wheels of fortune for the society at large and the nation, and make it to a developed country. So I've crossed my youth, but looking at you, I'm very confident that that journey of India becoming a developed country is just around the corner.
Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Can you take us through where you were being raised? At what age did you start working?
So I started working at the age of 13. I used to work in a Bindi factory. I used to make 3 rupees 50 paise per week. So that used to be 14 rupees a month. But 3 rupees 50 paise was a lot of money
Yeah.
because a vada pav, the staple diet of Mumbaikars,
Hmm.
used to cost 15 paise and a sandwich used to cost 20 paise.
Really?
So that was a lot of money for me coming from the economically challenge background that I came from.
Yeah.
So I became independent at an extremely young age. I was lucky to have, like each one of us is, I was very lucky to have very supportive parents who, irrespective of our financial situation, never compromised on the education that we got from our childhood. So that is one big gift of my parents to me.
Yeah.
And whatever I am today is purely because of their sheer efforts, hard work, and their dedication towards their children. I was one of the three. We are three siblings. That dedication of theirs for the education that they gave us scripted our future. And
Yeah.
that's where I am today because of that foundation, which was super strong.
Yeah.
And more than the education that I achieved in the classrooms, in the four walls of the school, what I achieved was the interaction of people when I started working young. People around you are great teachers. And when you start working towards generating revenues for yourself,
Yeah.
that is when the actual learning happens. So, a classroom education helps you to perform better in real life situations where your outcomes are measured by the earnings that you earn. So that was a very interesting journey, and I was blessed to start it from very early age.
Yeah.
I keep telling my children that start working at the youngest possible age so that you can deploy the education that you're taking in the air conditioned classrooms that you get these days, and then really apply it to places where it can support the society. So you need to be an outstanding productive human being so that you can contribute value to the environment around you. So that's what I keep telling my children also, and youngsters whom I keep meeting at events, functions, interactions, wherever I come across with youngsters.
Yeah, no, it's so refreshing to hear you say time and again that you're so blessed to have the kind of background, because I can see how, being raised in an area like Malwani, you I'm sure met all kinds of people, but that also prepared you for life and set you up to be the entrepreneur that you are today. So it's such an incredible journey that will inspire a lot of people. Other than that, also, I know that for a fact that later on in your life, you almost revolutionized the computer education space. Can you take us through that journey, how that came across?
During my 90s, when I was in my college, I finished my college in 1993. I guess you were not even born then. In 1993, when I finished my college, there was a very strong word which was buzzing around. That was IT, which is information technology. And one ex prime minister of the country said that IT is not only information technology, but IT is India's today, IT is India's tomorrow, and IT is Indian territory. Because Indians all across the globe were creating a great deal of growth for the companies where they were engaged with their IT skills. So I took the path of getting into the IT revolution in the early 2000 and in 1993 onwards to the early 2000. Computer education was considered to be a luxury in the country of India and in the city of Mumbai. But then what basically we did was we very proudly say that St. Angelo's Computers Limited, that's the name of my company, brought computer education within the reach of a common man. You get me? So I love to say this, that if you tell Sunny Deol to do an act of a poor man or a hungry man, the picture will flop. But if you say the same to a Om Puri or a Nasiruddin Shah, who have slept on the streets and eaten at the platforms and consumed leftovers to survive, if they act the role of a poor man struggling and coming up well in life, probably that movie might get a Oscar award. So when you have this kind of experience, you really understand the needs of people. Computer education is something where I didn't invest 1 rupee to learn computers. I learned it at no cost in my father's friend's office. When I started imparting that education to students at very nominal charges, it was a big boon for the children because it was value creation for every child who had taken IT education, computer education, to a degree where I always say that there should be quantum benefit to your customers and your consumers. That quantum benefit needs to revalidate their future in a very different quantum size or great speed. So I very early realized that your academic qualification is one part of your qualification, but any qualification supported by information technology or computer education will make you more productive. So irrespective of what career you are choosing or pursuing, computer education empowered you furthermore. So St. Angelo's Computers Limited added a lot of value to the lives of these students who are well placed and are very well income generating situation across the world. I have met my students in the weirdest of the places. I've met my students at Dubai airports, London airports, New York airports, but those are common destinations. But I have met them at weirdest of places in Europe, in Canada. Like I had gone for a trip to a place in close to Calgary in Canada. That place is known as Lake Louise. It has got only one Fairmont hotel on the mouth of the lake. Over there, I came across a guy who was working for the hotel, who recognized me and asked me, "You're Rajesh sir?" I said, "Yes." So he says, "I'm here because of a course that I did, a course of only 3,500 rupees in the 1996-97 period, landed him a job in a developed country like Canada for a property like Fairmont in a location like Lake Louise. And he meets me there and he wants to express his gratitude." Now, this was a trip that I did in almost 2006, 2007, where Wi Fi was not so easily available. And Lake Louise was a very remote location. So the student, very with full of gratitude, asked me that how can he help me. I said, "I need only one assistance. Can I get the Wi-Fi password?" And hotels used to charge for Wi-Fi those days. So he shared me his password, and that is a kind of incidences which make the happy memories of your life. So that gives you happiness, that brings a smile to your face, and that keeps you alive and validating that whatever you're doing is really in the right direction. So these incidences help a lot.
I can imagine because this is sounding like doing business, but doing business with a lot of heart.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Because the kind of background that you had, I'm sure it's made you sensitive to the needs of people like you, and you were able to offer them the same things that maybe you did not get a chance to experience in your life. But it's so beautiful that you've been able to do that for other people. Um, you know, you've had such an incredible long journey, and you've been a part of so many businesses. I really wanted to understand the personality of an entrepreneur from you. Can you take us through what are some leadership qualities and that one should have within themselves to really be successful in life?
Most importantly, it is your interpersonal skills. It is your will to excel. It is your desire to think big, make it happen. That is critically important. Your interpersonal skill will help you to integrate the right resources. The most important resources are people. And when you start a business, there are various segments who become a part of your business. Like, for example, your shareholders and investors, if you onboard money from outside for making the venture happen. So, your shareholders, people, your vendors, people, your team, people, your customers, people. So, it's all about people. So, your interpersonal skills help a lot. That's point number one. Point number two is all your stakeholders. The most important part of the people is also the government, which is again people, because for any business that you do within the country or anywhere in the world, you are governed by rules and regulations, as we call them as the laws of the land. So those are also again people. Your interpersonal skills can help you to express in the right way, where you can get support from these people. So I absolutely believe that nobody can grow without the support of people. A common example that I would like to share here is, if you catch a Mumbai train, if a foreigner looks at the local train in Mumbai, he will feel as if the entire population of the country has been loaded into one train, because you see people bulging out from every open space of the train. So that's the kind of the crowd that a train manages. Now, if you want to get into the train, if you look at the crowd, you can never get into it with your strength. You can get into it only if you position yourself well amongst that crowd, so that the crowd picks you up and takes you inside the train. And at the same time, you also need to maneuver yourself well, so that you get dropped at the right station. Otherwise, they will drop you at the wrong station. So you really need to maneuver this aspect. So these are skill sets as an entrepreneur that you need to learn. And as an entrepreneur, you should always be aware of being a part of an ecosystem which can get you resources which you don't need to own, but you can tag along whenever required, so that your business model becomes cost effective and make you successful. So you need to have interpersonal skills. You need to be a leader who leads from the front. For every business that I do, with all the stakeholders involved with me, whether it is my shareholders, stakeholders, vendors, teams, customers, government, whatever, I always lead from the front. I will never sit in my air conditioned office and ask people to do what they need to be doing, but I will always lead by example. The standing instruction to my team is, if there is an opportunity, grab it. If there is a challenge, bring it to me. I will solve it for you. If you can't, call me. I'm 24 bar 7 available, whichever part of the world I am in. There are instructions to all the people associated with me that they can reach me anytime. Do not even blink and think. But you call me when you can't solve. Don't call me because I'm available. So now this everybody in my ecosystem knows it, and that's how I operate. So a leader should lead from the front, and a good leader is he who knows how to lead himself to begin with. If I lead myself well, I will have the right type of followers, because I am also a follower to a lot of other people who are my Dronacharyas. You get me? So you need to be a great leader to yourself. Then you need to lead your team. Always lead from the front, critical element. Always keep building an ecosystem, critical element. Always have great interpersonal skills, critical element. And you need to be honest with all the stakeholders that you deal with. And honesty today is not a great quality anymore. Honesty today is a compulsion. Because if you're not honest, if you're honest, it will not be known to the entire world. But if you're not honest, without putting any efforts, it will be known to everybody breathing on planet Earth. Okay. The technology has made the whole world into a small village. So your honesty should be reflecting from your actions. And the same needs to apply to the team which is engaged with you. When I say the team, that also means your team who's directly working with you, your team which are your outsourced resources, your team which are your stakeholders, your team which are your vendors, your team which are your customers also. A customer is also part of your team, because your customer is also a good teacher to you.
Yes.
So you really need to be honest. It's no more a choice, it's a compulsion.
Compulsion. No, thank you for pointing this out, because from what I'm taking from this is how important psychology also is, because you're dealing with people everywhere. So relationships are so important, and when you mention honesty, it leads to further building trust with your stakeholders. And I've seen you've also mentioned how it's important it is to build the currency of trust and how far it can take you in life. So that's such a brilliant insight. Recently, someone that India looks up to is Mr. Narayan Murthy, and he stated in an interview where he said that at least the youth should be working for 70 hours a week, and somehow that got a lot of backlash also. But from an entrepreneur who's done it all, I really want to understand, is the hustle culture healthy? How does one maintain work life balance? And how much do you really have to work to really be successful in life?
Everything is directly proportionate to the size of the ambition that you hold. For an employee, if his ambition is to get salary at the end of the month, he'll work 8 hours, in which his productive number of hours will not be more than 2 to 3 hours. For an entrepreneur, he will work anywhere between 8 to 14 hours, because he has got his ambitions to achieve and cost to be met. He has got his targets to be achieved and be committed to the customer for the performances that he has promised. So it depends. It is situational on who the person is. For an employee, it will be 8 hours. For smarter employees, it's 14 hours. But I would say, if you love what you do, life is a picnic. So if you love what you do, 14 hours sounds like 3 to 4 hours, because right from the time that you wake up till the time you go back to sleep, if you're enjoying what you're doing, there is no time limits for your actions or working number of hours. So it depends. It is situational. Primarily, I work on an average 14 hours, and I know hundreds of people, hundreds of them, who work 14 hours and more. But people who work 14 hours and more, for them, it is not work. They are enjoying what they are doing. It is their passion which is driving them. It is their ambition which is driving them. It is their targets which is keeping them alive and kicking and enjoying the journey onwards to achieving those targets. So I think 12 to 14 hours is something very interesting and exciting. And there are people who blend fun with work, work with fun. And sometimes working itself is the best fun that you enjoy, because that is the longest number of hours that you are engaged or involved with. Of course, not at the cost of your family time, not at the cost of the time that you need to spend with your children, because making your children into leaders is something which is your core responsibility. So you really need to also keep mentoring them, not only as a parent,
Yeah.
but I'm talking myself as an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, you also need to keep mentoring them. It is your commitment to the society,
Yeah.
that what comes from your home, what comes
Yeah.
from your stable,
Yeah.
your children need to be the best citizens possible in the country.
Yeah.
That's what every parent needs to be doing.
Yeah.
And that's what makes a society robust and pleasant to live.
Yeah.
Like when you go to Norway, or when you go to Scandinavian countries, you see a very different culture of the people in those countries. Small populations, but the way they are committed to social change, the way they are committed to environment, it's amazing. And that's what we need to be doing everywhere, every part of the world, including India.
No, I think mentoring is so important, and not everyone is really fortunate to have the right mentor in their life. And hopefully, the kids or the young people that are watching this podcast today can see you as their mentor. And now that I have the opportunity of having you here, I really wanted to understand what is the difference between the mindset of somebody who might be coming from a lower middle class family or a middle class family, and the difference between someone who's being raised by an entrepreneur, being raised by in a rich family and is seeing business all around their life. So because I feel like the thing that stops people from becoming rich is most often their limiting beliefs about themselves. They aim only that I should just get a job and just cover my expenses. But can you take us through what mindset change should happen in young people that are watching this?
It is the attitude that matters.
Yeah.
Your attitude will define your altitude, is what I love to say.
Hmm.
Uh, History has been a great teacher, and we have all read about Eklavya and Dronacharya. Unfortunately, that point of time, Eklavya didn't have access to internet.
Yeah.
There was no YouTube then, so he had only one Dronacharya,
Hmm.
whom he saw, and he became a great warrior.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right now, today we are blessed with technology to an extent
Yeah.
that we can have multiple number of Dronacharyas.
Hmm.
Dronacharya never knew that he's training an Eklavya.
Yeah.
Similarly, there are so many Dronacharyas in
Mentors.
this world, irrespective of geographical locations.
Yeah.
You can still follow them and shape the picture of your future.
Yeah.
Now that's in our hands.
Hmm.
Now, whether you're a poor man's child or a rich man's child makes no difference. What makes a difference is what is the attitude that you're building. What can help you to build that right attitude is to make sure that you follow the right number of people. It's critically important to learn beyond what you're taught.
Yeah.
And what you're taught is taught in school, colleges, or the classes that you attend. But at the same time, you should also have the self initiative to learn beyond what gets taught. And that's what you can achieve by reading newspapers regularly, by watching news regularly, or by watching content of your choice and preference on the magical channel of YouTube. God wanted to answer your every question directly. He could not do that because he didn't have a telephone line. So he created the internet. So he created the YouTube through people like you and me. And today, there is no question that can be unanswered. He further fine tuned it by making Chat GPT, where you can actually post your question and get a right answer. But also, we need to skill ourselves in a way where the quality of your question will define the quality of your answer. So that is also a skill that you need to develop. So we are in an era where we can actually shape up and build the right attitude for growth. At all times, every young man should keep it in mind that it is his social responsibility to grow, because service to the people around you in form of a service or a product is service to God. You really need to do that, so that in making your life comfortable, you're becoming a product provider or a service provider to the people around you, and that's how you're building the society along with you. So you really need to be mindful and conscious about the role that you're playing for the limited period of time that you are amongst the people where you are born. So I think these are thoughts that should cross every young man's mind. That young man might be a small child or might be a grown up. So you can always be young at mind, but you need to have this kind of thoughts which can help you to take the right decisions in your life.
Yeah, I think so rightly said that now because of the internet, it's such a blessing that what one can make of themselves, there's no end to that. With the internet, you can have mentors not just in India, internationally as well, because we are all consuming podcasts even internationally now, and you're learning from so many people. So that's such a blessing. But now I wanted to, now that we've understood what the mindset of an entrepreneur should be, I wanted to now actually get into how you actually build a business. And the first step would be to understand your target audience for your business. And from your understanding, if someone is either developing a product or a service, what is your reading of the average Indian consumer? What is their mindset, especially in 2024, and what do you think it's going to be in the future?
So we are going to be a consumer driven market. We really need to be understanding that every country which is from a phase of being a developing country to a developed country becomes a consumer focused market, where the commitments of the product providers or service providers have got legal implications also. Now that is from the point of view of a consumer. But from the point of view of an entrepreneur, when you want to transform yourself from a student to an entrepreneur or from an employee to an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
we need to understand on how do we choose the path. That's critically important to understand.
Yeah.
So I would say that people should follow the 5 P's of life. The first P is you need to identify a pain in the society which you can solve.
Yeah.
Once you identify that pain, that becomes
Yeah.
your business model. The second P is your purpose.
Yeah.
Now, your purpose should not be only profiteering, or your purpose should not be only to make profits.
Yeah.
Although every entrepreneur needs to mandatorily make profits, I love to say that money in good hands builds the society. So every good entrepreneur needs to make good quantum of profits. But at the same time, that should not be your only goal. Profit should be a byproduct of your actions to solve a pain that you have identified in the society. So you first identify the pain, then you define your purpose of how many people can you reach out to solve that problem, which I did with St. Angelo's Computers Limited. I solved the problem of inexpensive computer education, adding value to the lives of people. And we train more than 4.5 lakh students across Mumbai, Thane, Navi Mumbai, and Nasik over a period of 27 years. Yeah. All of their futures transformed. So that is the purpose, was to empower the other people, never the profit. So that gave us a boost to grow up in life financially also. So the purpose needs to be not profit dependent only. It needs to be the larger good. So social entrepreneurship is the way forward. You need to have an extraordinarily sharp mind, absolutely connected with a very warm and moist heart. So that is social entrepreneurship. Both these aspects need to be connected at all times. The third P that I would like to talk about is, what is the promise that you're making to your customers? What is the promise? Now, if you there is a cream which says कि ये cream लगाने से आदमी गोरा हो जाता है. If that would have been true, I would have bought at least half the company for the skin tone that I have.
Yeah.
You get me? But that, I don't know to what extent it is true. So you need to make a promise to your consumers, to your customers, which needs to be delivered. That's critically important. And the fourth piece, the proof. When you make a promise, you also need to leave a proof behind that the promise has been delivered. Now that becomes a testimonial for other people to become your customers and consumers. And that's how you build trust and grow. So the fourth P is proof. And the fifth critical P is people. Like they say, Ganga ऊपर से बहती है. You get me? So jaisa raja vaisi praja. So the people that you choose for your journey as an entrepreneur is critically important. All the parameters that are required for a business. It begins with you, of course, because you're at the helm of affairs, but the right people, the right team, the right shareholders, the right vendors, the right customers, the right segment of customers, and the right government departments. You really need to choose right. All the times you have to be right. So that fifth P is people. Have the right choice. It is choosing an team member or choosing a vendor is as important as choosing your life partner. You cannot keep changing your vendors all the time.
Yeah.
You can keep improving them
Yes.
by suggesting on your requirements.
Yes.
But you really need to choose them with equal importance. One teammate that comes to you can probably change the fortunes of the organization, like Jack Welch.
Yes.
He changed the fortunes of the company that he was engaged with.
Yeah.
So one person, that one man, can also make a lot of difference.
Yeah.
So once you define this, you can choose the path of entrepreneurship that you need to choose. As far as the mindset of the people are concerned today, people are today wanting a lot of comforts in their life. So it's going to be a consumer based economy. That's how a developed country is. It's all consumer driven and it's all consumer based. The rules and the laws for customers and consumers is going to be changing. The rules and the laws for the vendors are also changing. An entrepreneur is a vendor to his customers and consumers. So things are changing. So I think this is a consumer driven economy. We are moving towards a consumer driven economy.
Yeah, we're moving towards a developed nation mindset, and you're so
Absolutely.
right in pointing that out. And accordingly, because you've always been ahead of the curve with all your businesses. I've noticed that even with your restaurants, you're into healthy eating, even before it was a major trend. With computer education, you've always been ahead of the curve. And even for our audience to understand this, they can accordingly decide what product and service to get into, because now consumers want a better lifestyle for themselves. They are moving towards that.
You need to develop the art of looking into the future.
Yes.
You can develop that by following the right dronacharyas in life.
Yes.
That's about it. If you just have the right dronacharyas in life, you might be a dronacharya for some other people there, but there are so many people who are dronacharyas for you.
Yeah.
So you need to develop the art of looking into the future, so that you can tag along in the right segments of businesses.
Correct. You've also had a lot of experiences, varied industries. You've experienced the ins and outs of all of them. Can you tell us, if someone is wanting to start a business but they don't have the kind of background that you do, which are the industries that they should get into, which are the most profitable ones, and are there any untapped markets that you see that people should explore?
So Times of India has published one more book which I have written. It is called The Entrepreneur's Compass.
Okay.
Now that book takes care of anybody and everybody who wants to start a business. It also takes care of people who are successful in business. It also takes care of people who want to retire from business and pass on the legacy.
Oh, wow.
So I've compiled it
The
all
whole
in
life
that
is
one
covered.
single book, which has got 101 chapters. A very exciting journey
Wow.
of me unfolding that book, which is
Yeah.
now published by the Times of India. But the critically the critical element of this part is you need to look into the future, like I just said. Now in India, what can be that future? India is a populated country and very well populated country, and population was our weak point once upon a time. टुडे इट इज अवर स्ट्रेंथ. आप दिशा बदलोगे ना तो आपकी दशा बदल जाती है. इट डिपेंड्स ऑन हाउ यू लुक एट अ प्रॉब्लम.
Correct.
सो टुडे सडनली द पॉपुलेशन इज नो मोर अ प्रॉब्लम.
Yeah.
Today we feel that is this is a huge market.
Yeah.
The largest middle class segment in the world is India.
Yeah.
So that's our strength.
Yeah.
So you really need to understand anything that is applicable to people as your customers and consumers. Like for example, the health sector,
Yeah.
the education sector, the infrastructure sector.
Yeah.
With such a large population,
Yeah.
you need huge infrastructure. Like the government of India has a plan to implement or execute projects worth 100 lakh crores in the next 5 years. Expenditure by the government is income to the people. So that's again a big segment. Infrastructure, housing, that is the real estate development, big sector. Automobiles, you need transportation for so many people, big sector. Now these are broadly classified 4 or 5 or 6 sectors that I spoke about, but each sector has got hundreds of offshoots on how you can become an element or a part of that particular sector. Now you need to match it with your aptitude on what are you good at, and then choose the sector or the segment and create a niche in that particular segment and play the game. So I love to say this, that every business is a game and every game has its own rules. Like for example, in a football you can't pick the ball, you need to kick the ball. But in a handball you can't kick the ball, you need to pick the ball. So every game has its rules. So learn the rules and change the rules. Become a game changer in any and every business that you indulge into. Because if you are not the game changer, you are one of the many. And if you are one of the many, you'll get a very normal growth. You'll earn very normal profits. But if you change the rules of the games, you will be visible, you will be seen, and the numbers that you will achieve will be different compared to the peers that you have in the same industry.
Absolutely. When you say change the game, that's also saying, make a strong differentiator for yourself in the business, and
Absolutely.
that will be the key to success.
What business you do is immaterial.
Yeah.
How you do that business is the most important aspect of doing business.
Absolutely. Such a brilliant insight. Thank you so much for sharing that. And, now that we've covered that, another report that I was actually reading was by NRAI, and it says that approximately 60% of restaurants shut down in the first year. 80% shut down in 5 years, and you are successfully running 8 restaurants across 5 different cities. And personally, also, I really love the brand because it's promoting healthy eating. It's promoting, it has food that are no color, no preservatives. So, take us through what it takes to actually build a successful restaurant and also keep it going, not just in one city, but across cities.
So it is not one brand that I'm associated with. I'm associated with multiple brands. One is Sante Spa Cuisine. One is La Mage, it's an Italian brand. One is Yamma Swami, which is a South Indian brand. And one is Jubilee, which is a gelatos, ice creams, cakes, cookies, and open sandwiches brand. So restaurant is a very unique, different activity altogether. 10,000 different items moving at the same time need to be controlled by a small team of people. It's a completely people dependent business. It's a services industry, and you need to keep satisfying every new customer which occupies your chair without losing an iota of enthusiasm throughout the day, 365 days a year. So it's a very interesting business model. The statistics that you shared is applicable to a lot of industries. So only those people will sustain and survive who are focused and play that game differently. You really need to master that business. So what I basically do is I get partnered with people who are experts in their domain knowledge.
Okay.
Like for example, I have partnered with a phenomenal entrepreneur called Sonal Barmecha.
Yeah.
She's a chartered accountant by qualification and profession,
Hmm.
but she ventured into operating the restaurant business.
Yeah.
Why? Because she found the pain in the market that she faced,
Hmm.
that she's a fitness freak. So she was not getting the type of food that she wanted.
Yeah.
So that pain became her purpose of not only getting that food for herself, not only getting that food made for herself, but giving it to the rest of the people in the society. So that became her purpose, which created a brilliant business model. The promise that she made out of Sante Spa cuisine is, I will give you global cuisine, pure vegetarian, honestly healthy, and without compromising on the taste buds, and ensuring that by eating the right food, you will never will have to take medicines. In fact, even doctors started recommending Sante Spa cuisine.
Oh, wow.
That if you want to have a cheat day, go and have at Sante. You get me? Doctors are one of our major consumers at Sante Spa cuisine. That is a belief of theirs in the food. So the promise is honestly healthy, and the proof is 90% of our customers keep coming back to us. So there is enough proof that we have delivered the promise. And the people associated are like people like Sonal Barmecha, the founder. We have got Shailendra Kekade, who is an outstanding celebrity chef for the last 35 years. I don't call him a chef, I call him a food scientist. He creates flavors by combining the right ingredients in the right proportion to create a flavor. He doesn't use any colors, flavors, additives, preservatives, nothing in the food. So it is food in the purest form. Nothing artificial gets used in the restaurant. So that is the kind of people who are there with you. So it all depends on the team that you have. If you 11 Sachin Tendulkar can't win a match, you need to have a Sachin Tendulkar. You need to have various combinations. You need to have great bowlers, fantastic wicket keepers, superb fielders for you to win that match. So team matters a lot. So if so many restaurants are closing down, there are multiple other reasons. It also depends on what cuisine you're driving, what are the locations that you're visible at or you're present at, what is the quality of the team that you have, what is the menu, whether it is in demand, whether you're changing it very regularly, what are the economics of your business. You cannot buy a very expensive premises on rent. You cannot take a premises on rent which is disproportionate to the income that you generate. Every business has got independent economics in place. You can make profit when it is a consumer market. Always remember one thing. This is a piece of suggestion that I would like to make to all the people who are listening, that you can make profit only when you're a buyer, which means you're a customer. It is very difficult for you to make a profit when you sell. So if your buying is the right price, you can sell it at the right price. When you are the buyer, you need to benefit. When your customer is the buyer, he needs to benefit. It's called, I love to call it as value creation. What is the value that you create to your customer, to your consumer? You cannot create that value if your buying is expensive. So these are very critical elements that you need to keep in mind. And the restaurants closing down in such large numbers is purely because of wrong economical calculations of the business model. And it can happen with anybody and everybody. Like we were in a wrong location in one of our outlets, but then we cut the losses by taking a uh, decision to stop it instantly and move to a location which was more adaptable to my brand. You get me? So you need to take good decisions and bad decisions with great speed and confidence. It's once you understand, I don't want you to take bad decisions. Once you understand that the decision has gone bad, you need to take the right decision and move on. So you really need to be quick and brisk on that. So I think restaurant and the F&B industry is on a boom. It is a social currency. Being a restaurant owner is a social currency. Everybody in the society wants to know you. I classify three businesses where people like to get associated with you: owning a school, owning a hospital, or owning a restaurant. Now, a school and hospital needs hundreds of crores today, and they are having a lot of restrictive rules and regulations for making profits. Like in hospitals and schools, you don't have the freedom to make profits. It's controlled by government rules. But restaurants is very economical to get started with. Very economical to get started with, and can give you the same benefits where people really want to get associated and know you because you're doing something different, and anybody and everybody wants to come and enjoy the experience at your restaurant. So it's a very interesting business. And any business model wherein sportsmen and celebrities and industrialists start investing, you need to understand again, to start looking into the future, that this is a sector and this is a segment which is really growing fast and moving in the right direction.
Such amazing insights back to back. I think my audience is going to be really happy hearing this. And you've also beautifully filled a void in the market with your restaurants, because I can't think of any other restaurant that offers something like this. Other than that, also, the advice that you gave about associating with experts, it's so important because a lot of people get enamored by the restaurant industry. They love to be a part of it, but they don't understand that expertise is so important. And the fastest way to get expertise is to actually partner up with someone who spent their entire life building that expertise. So, again, a brilliant insight. Once that we've established that, now that someone, for example, let's take the example that someone wants to start their own restaurant. Now, would you suggest that they start small and bootstrap and eventually make it into a bigger chain of restaurants? Or do you suggest that at an early stage also people should take on an investor?
It all depends on the appetite of the person in question. But on a generic note, I would like to say you need to be bootstrapped as much as possible. You need to raise money as late as possible. But when you want to raise money, you need to raise it at the best value possible. These are all very critical elements. You need to get cash positive before you want to raise money. You get a better valuation. Point number one. Point number two is do not take money from investors as pure investors. They don't add any value to your business. Always try to take money from strategic investors who will not only give you money, but they will also mentor you. They will give you their resources and they will also give you customers, or they might also become your customers and expand your revenue base. So having strategic investors on board is the best way to growth. There is a very dear friend of mine. He is one Dronacharya for me. He is one of the top 10 industrialists of this country. I would not want to name him for his privacy. Uh, I met him once for a particular project that I wanted him to come on board with me for. And he gave me an example of a business model that he started. And for that business model to be successful, it was his idea. It was his idea. He had already started the activity, but he came across a person who probably, in terms of stature, would have been too small to him. But across the table, he said that if you want me to come on board with you and partner with you in this particular project of yours, I will want 74%. First and foremost, he had the guts to ask 74%. I want 74% and I'm on board. Without blinking an eyelid, without even blinking, this big industrialist agreed and he gave away 74% over a conversation, a purposeful meeting, which was where the purpose was coming together with that
Yeah.
particular person, that
Yeah.
gentleman,
Yeah.
who had his own set of resources apart from this big industrialist. Now, giving away 74%
Lord.
shocked me. And that too, for such a big industrialist to take that kind of a decision. That day I realized one thing: it is better to own 10% of a watermelon than owning 100% of a grape. You get me? So there are myths, a lot of myths around how much share you should give, what is the quantum of investment that you should take, when you should take that investment. It is all situational, but these are broad guidelines. Be bootstrapped to as long as possible. Like Zerodha is not raised funds till date, and there are thousands and thousands and thousands crores of company. So be bootstrapped to as long as possible. Raise as high as possible at as high a value as possible, and raise it from strategic investors who will multiply your growth. You need money not to grow normally, you need money to take quantum leaps. So that's critically important, not only in the restaurant business, but any business that you intend to do. So, like today, I'm a strategic investor. I'm not interested in starting startups or starting a new business idea and trying to test myself. I've crossed that age and I'm not interested to do that. So, I identify entrepreneurs who are already successful, who are already cash positive. They are making profits. There are profits after taxes also. And then they want to multiply their growth. So I map them, check out their resources, check out their standard operating procedures, check out their success story, and then invest in them and take them to the fast forward mode. That is critically important. So strategic investing is most important. Try to identify that strategic investor and see how your talent and your investment of time and efforts get quantified and multiplied over a period of time. After a particular period of time in life, it is not money that you're earning, it is time that you need to earn. On how can you make your time more productive? It is the same 24 hours, whether it is for the Honorable Prime Minister of the country or for you and me. It is the same 24 hours. What we make out of it will depend a lot on the quality of decisions that we make.
The point that you mentioned about strategic investment is so important because I've seen a lot of businesses that raise funds, but the investors are only looking for their exit. And when the values are not aligned, the vision is not aligned, that is when the business starts to lose money. So it's so important to get the right investor on board and to get it as late as possible, like you said. Now that someone has established a successful business, and for example, we'll take an example of the restaurant again, where the restaurant is doing well. Now we want to scale it, not just in the same city, but on a pan India basis. How do you really scale a business? What is needed for it to universally appeal across a nation?
We were the largest computer education company in Mumbai. Computer education is a business of services. Restaurant is again a business of services. In the services sector, geographic expansion should be with a lot of thought. In a product sector, geographic expansion can be without a thought also. जहाँ से order आएगा आप deliver करो, because the quality cannot get compromised. It's a product which is being delivered. It might be in Mumbai, it might be delivered in New York or in Canada or in London, doesn't matter, because the quality is already defined what you have created. In services, you need to be cautious and you need to be careful. Now, it's very important for you to do a proper resource management. Your back office needs to be strong to support the kind of resources that you're putting up. So rather than having an haphazard geographical expansion, it is better to master one geographical territory and then move to the others. Like, for example, when I'm talking about restaurants like Sante Spa Cuisine, we are having 2 outlets currently in Mumbai. The intent is to start 6 outlets of Sante Spa Cuisine, which is more than sufficient for the city of Mumbai. So we finished that first. Then the next target would be to put up 20 jubilees. So, like for example, one jubilee is 1/3 the size of a Sante.
Sante.
Like for example, for a Sante, I need 3,000 square feet space
Yeah.
minimum.
Yeah.
It can be 3,000 and above. We have
Yes.
got outlets which are even 10,000 square feet. Like in Pune, in Koregaon Park, our outlet is 10,000 square feet.
Oh.
In Ahmedabad on the SG Road, the outlet is 10,000 square feet. But in Mumbai, 10,000 square feet is a difficult task
Yeah.
to achieve.
Yes.
But you can have minimum 3,000 and above.
Yeah.
For a Jubilee, we need 1,000 to 1,200 square feet. It's
Yeah.
1/3.
Yeah.
So Jubilees can be too many, but Santes can be only 6. So we need to plan for 6 Jubilee outlets, 20 Jubilee outlets in Mumbai and 6 Sante outlets in Mumbai. Now, once we sufficiently do this in Mumbai, then we will target Pune. Then we will target Chennai. Then we will target Bangalore. Then we will target Ahmedabad. Then we'll target other parts of the country like a Jaipur or a Calcutta or a Delhi. But whenever we plan to go to another city, it will always be more than one at the same time, so that you can have the advantages of scale of operations. Only then you can justify your customer acquisition cost, your communication cost, and your resource planning for back-end activities. So that's critically important. In the service sector, if you go wrong in your planning for managing your expenses, it will be difficult. In a service sector, you cannot have profit margins more than 20 to 22%. If you are really going to the right temple, praying to the right God, that's a joke though, then you might achieve a 25% margin. But it is difficult in service sectors to have larger percentages of profit margins. Okay. So you really, and it's not like a factory where a profit margin of 4% is also great, because that factory is doing 2,000 crores of turnover. So on a 2,000 crores, 4% is you're making handsome money. Restaurant is an activity where you are engaged on a very local level. So your profitability percentage really has to be great and good. Like for example, I'm also a real estate developer. I did real estate development in so many cities of the country, right? But now I have realized, so at what you do at what age also matters. So today I'm seasoned enough to understand that, okay, now real estate development needs to happen only in Mumbai.
Yeah.
In Mumbai, it needs to happen only in a radius of where I can reach within 30 minutes.
Okay.
So if I'm living in Bandra, I don't want to do real estate development beyond Juhu
Yeah.
or beyond Chembur or
Yes.
beyond Shivaji Park,
Yes.
so that I can reach. So all the projects that I'm doing currently are within this
Okay.
parameters. Like I am within 6 kilometers from where I live, where
Yes.
I've got multiple projects of real estate going on.
Yes.
Now, this is all of this you learn only either out of experience
Yeah.
or by imbibing somebody that you admire,
Yes.
who's already successful, and you're imbibing that person. So you really need to plan well. Haphazard growth will take away your good money. And in business, I've seen so many times, and it has happened with me also, that you earn good money in one place and you lose for the bad decisions that you have taken. So you cannot, as you age, you cannot afford to take wrong decisions. So you really need to think and map your life accordingly and take the right decisions. As far as the restaurants are concerned, we are going city by city now. That we will have multiple number of outlets city by city, so the resources become more economical for us. So we take better resources, get them divided amongst all the revenue outlets, and bring the cost of the resources down.
I think when you say that, in a certain industry your decisions are going right and somewhere you've made a wrong decision in another industry, this is also where business diversification helps because it helps you limit your financial risk as well. So that's another thing that I think the audience can learn from you because you have your hands in so many different industries. And now that we've been discussing real estate, I wanted to get into a very famous debate that's actually happening on YouTube, which is between renting versus buying. As someone who's a developer, what is your take on it? Is it better for someone to rent or is it better for them to buy property?
Amongst the asset class, the best asset class to have is the real estate, because real estate is the only asset on which you get to leverage. Like, for example, if I want to buy a property of a crore, I can just make a down payment of 10 lakhs or 20 lakhs at the most, and the balance can come as a loan for a tenure of 20 years. There is no other asset class which comes with a loan for a tenure of 20 years. Point number one. Point number two, the cheapest leverage is a real estate leverage, the cheapest leverage. Because if you buy a residence, you get a 20-year loan at anywhere between 7.5 to 9%, depending on your credentials and your CIBIL report. That is the second benefit. The third benefit is you can always keep topping up. You don't have to sell the asset. You just top up your loan. And because it is a loan, so if you sell a house and book profits, you have to pay a tax. These days, there is a lot of topics on tax, on the long term tax and all that stuff. Why to sell the property? You just top up the loan. And because it is a loan, you don't have to pay tax on that loan. As far as the interest that you are paying, that gets adjusted against the exemption that you have in your tax returns. So that's a smart model. The other asset classes, for example, gold or investing in stocks. If you invest in gold, if I want to buy 100 grams of gold, I can't buy it on a loan. I have to make 100% down payment. I can't leverage to buy gold. In terms of shares, I can't buy it in leveraged mode. I have to make full payment and buy the shares.
Yes.
So real estate is a great asset. In fact, if you smartly utilize a real estate, you can buy gold and stocks through mutual funds or direct shares buying, which can again give you better returns than the interest that you're paying on the loan. The best part about a real estate leverage is that the bank is interested only in their interest. They are not interested in the appreciation that your asset is creating. In a developing country, the best income that a person creates or earns without working for it is the real estate appreciation. I'll give you an example. There was a house that I bought in Malad in 2002. The price of that house was 1000 square feet was at 2200 rupees. So that was 22 lakhs. Let's assume for a purpose of calculation and making it easy that the house costed me 20 lakhs. I made a 10% down payment, that was 2 lakhs. And that 10%, after paying that 10%, I got a loan of 18 lakhs. On a tenure of 20 years at an average rate of interest of 7.5 to 8%, if you take a 18 lakhs ka loan for a period of 20 years, you pay additional 18 lakhs as interest. So the house costed me, and I paid it for the entire tenure of 20 years, and then I sold the house for 3 crores. Now I'll come to the calculation. I sold a house of 20 lakhs for 3 crores. Okay, for which I paid 2 lakhs plus 18% rate, plus 18 lakhs as interest, plus 18 lakhs that the loan had given. So 18 plus 18 is 36. 36 plus 2 lakhs of down payment is 38 lakhs. Round it off to 40 lakhs. 3 crores minus 40 lakhs. What could have given me 2 crores 60 lakhs in those 20 years other than this? There is no other activity that I would have done to earn 2 crores 60 lakhs by investing just 2 lakhs. So most important is always try to buy a real estate. Always buy a real estate. That is formula number 1. Formula number 2. Now you might be living on rent in Bandra, okay, which is a place where you might not be able to buy in your young days or your youth days. You are 26 years of age. My suggestion to you would be buy a real estate wherever you can buy. For example, you might buy the real estate in Mira Road. Okay, so you buy 1000 square feet in Mira Road and you rent it out, because since you are staying in Bandra today, because you are working at Dadar, you cannot travel from Mira Road. It will consume a lot of time. Or you are working in Bandra itself. So you don't want to invest time, because you are a youth who doesn't want to invest time in traveling. It's a waste of time. Okay. So you buy a house in Mira Road. Say today the rate at Mira Road would be 10,000 rupees. And Bandra is 60,000 rupees. So definitely you will not be able to buy in Bandra today. Okay. So you buy it at 10,000 rupees and you rent it out. that 1,000 square feet in for which you paid at the rate of 10,000 rupees might achieve you a crore of rupees of a house, might achieve you, for example, say 30,000 rupees as rent. Okay, buy it in Mira Road, give it on rent, take that 30,000 rupees or 35,000 rupees, take a 700 square feet apartment in Bandra, pay 80,000 rupees rent, offset that 80,000 rupees with that 30,000 rupees. So you are left with 50,000 rupees, which you are anyways paying at 80,000 rupees. You're anyways paying it. Now, the advantage is after 10 years or another 15 years, that apartment which you bought in Mira Road at 10,000 rupees would have become 25,000 rupees. And that becomes your capital gains, which you got free of cost. You get me? So you always need to plan your real estate investments. I would also like to share that suppose if you're earning 100 rupees in a month, you need to divide this into three parts. That's the formula that I would suggest. There are too many formulas. You can apply whatever suits you, but I'll give you a very simple one. 33% of your revenue has to go towards repayment of a real estate, majority of the part, and repayment of any white goods or vehicle that you have purchased. It might be a bike, it might be a car, it might be whatever it is. It should not exceed 33%. 33% should be your expenditure towards your lifestyle. That is your 33% gone over there. The balance 34% should be pure investments into two activities. One activity should be in insurance, and the other activity should be in mutual funds. Because you're not a expert on the stock market, you should not take a chance and you should play with your mutual funds. So the balance money should be spread between your insurance coverage and your mutual funds. The India growth story is going to be crazy in the next 50 years. The mutual fund, the stock market growth in this country is going to be crazy. You need to have a pie of that cake. Okay. So in this 34%, 75% should go towards mutual fund, 25% should go to your insurance uh, premiums. In insurance, 100% of the insurance should be paid for a policy which should be pure risk coverage. Insurance is not savings, according to me. People have their own opinions. I'm sharing my opinion. Insurance is not savings. Insurance is risk coverage. Insurance money should never come back to the person who has paid the premium. Insurance benefit should always go to the family of the person who has paid the premiums. Insurance is beneficial only as a death claim. It should not be used as a savings instrument. Mutual funds is purely a savings instrument. It will give you much more returns than the fixed deposits in the bank. You will be a part of the growth of the nation, which will give you dividends which you cannot earn by working. So if you keep these things clear in your mind and plan your life accordingly, it will be a great life to live. 33% towards repayment of EMIs, 33% towards payment of your lifestyle, and 33% towards your future for your family and for yourself. If it is mutual funds, it is for yourself and your family. And if it is insurance, it has to be only for your family. These are some inputs that I would like to share.
No, I think the insights that you've shared about real estate are so amazing, and you've also explained how people need to personally invest their own earnings. Also, when it comes to real estate, a lot of people, I think, don't see it as a good investment when they only think of residential. But that's not the only investment, right? There's also commercial property. They can also buy empty land. So, and the way you explained, even with residential property, even in a city like Mumbai, where the rates are so high, is so amazing, and it will really help, I think, put an end to the debate that's really happening on YouTube. Now that at the stage that you are, you have achieved so much success. You have enough money to live a very luxurious life for the rest of your life, for your kids as well. At what point does one understand that, okay, now I've made it and now I need to actively step out of this rat race and I need to live life more?
So, yeah, very at a very young age, I decided that what do I want to be? Should I want to try to be the richest man of the world or the happiest man of the world? And I chose to be the happiest man of the world. And I really did this thought process in the year 2000. The richest man in the world changes every minute, and it's a very tough race to run because all the time you're winning and losing at the same time. So that's not a great journey to have. A great journey to have is something where you really enjoy every moment of what you do. So as an entrepreneur, I don't look into what profit and loss account I've done or what profits I've done or what's my balance sheet. That excites me, but that's not my core focus of life, because I know I need to be happy. Every business that I'm involved with gives me happiness. The day that happiness fluctuates, I'm out of it. So it's very critically important that I choose what I do, and after I choose what I do, I'm enjoying every part of the process of that particular business. So like I was into computer education till 2017, 2018. Then I exited because you cannot fall in love with the business. Whatever I am today is all because of all the great and good work that we did with St. Angelo's Computers Limited. We trained 4.5 lakh students, which is quite a quantum, right? Added value to so many lives. But then by 2017-18, I started realizing that computer education has become a part of school and college syllabus. So this is no more an opportunity zone. So we moved out to the other businesses that I'm involved and engaged with. So it's critically important to understand what gives you happiness. What gives you happiness today might not be the same activity which might give you happiness 30 years down the line. So you need to be flexible, realistic, and mindful about what you're doing. So that's critically important. I would rate happiness better than the quantum of money that you earn. Today, every human being around us is earning more than what he can spend, or rather, he's spending less than what he's earning to a great extent. To a great extent, the number of people earning in a family has multiplied. We had historical data where only one person in the family used to earn, the man of the house. Today, the man, the woman, the mother, the daughter, the father, sister, everybody is earning revenues and making a comfortable life, or trying to make it comfortable for everybody in the family. I think money is critically important to earn. It cannot, what money does, nothing else can do it. But happiness is something which is in your hands. So you need to be happy in what you're doing, and you also need to keep scaling up, because you have to keep adding value to what you're doing and also to the people around you. As individuals, as human beings, we are responsible for other people's happinesses also. So all of those responsibilities collected together, of course, earning money is critically important, but not at the cost of happiness. You need to be happy with what you're doing.
Yeah, this is also where social entrepreneurship comes in. The kind of impact that you create in your
Absolutely.
lifetime comes in, and that is also so important. And
You know, Karan, what happens
Mhm.
is at the end of the day, when you
Hmm.
fall back on bed, which you
Hmm.
do every day,
Hmm.
when you fall back on bed,
Hmm.
you should feel happy, you should
Yeah.
feel satisfied,
Yeah,
and you should sleep with a smile on your face.
that's so
So
important.
that's critically important. And that
Yeah.
can happen only if you're in the race of happiness. If
Mhm.
you're in the race of money,
Yeah.
that smile will never be there on on your face.
So rightly said. And one more book that you've written is the 50 New Life Mantras. And, you know, is there any one mantra that you can share with our audience here that you think can be life changing, especially for an upcoming entrepreneur?
Always build an extraordinarily powerful ecosystem. Relationship is the only ship that never sinks unless you really goof up badly. So always build a powerful ecosystem. Always have like-minded people around you at all times, people that you love, like, and admire, but they need to be from different walks of life. The pattern of learning has changed. It is no more that you will learn from the same industry that you're in, but you can cross learn from other industries and implement it in your business model to make it more successful. So ecosystem building is critically important. I have been doing that since the age of 13. I was a door to door salesman selling clothes, cosmetics, Venky's chicken, pile chappal, door to door. So there were people who banged their doors on my face. There were people who not only opened the doors but opened their hearts and welcomed me. There were people who bought even when they didn't require, because they knew if they buy, it will help me to study in college and take education. And but the number of doors which used to get banged on my face, the number of people who used to abuse me for ringing their bell in afternoon times was very high. In spite of that, I, without losing an iota of enthusiasm, I would still go ahead and ring the next bell. So that learning, that commitment to yourself to change your own economic status was the driving force, and the ambition to make a difference to your own family, apart from you, your own family, was so high that people banging doors on my face didn't matter. People cursing me didn't matter. What mattered me was, how can I do my next transaction? How can I earn the next rupee? And this is all ethical within the means of law, and still giving you satisfaction that, okay, you're supporting yourself to grow in life. So that's an amazing journey to live. Ecosystem is what I've built from the age of 13. From the time I was in my senses, I've built an ecosystem. So there are people who are my customers who used to buy the clothes, Venki's chicken, pile chappal from me during my college days. They sometimes today they feel shy to know me, but if I see them anywhere, I take the initiative and go and meet them. So the ecosystem that has built me is the reason why a person like me has grown so well. The quality of your ecosystem will define the quality of the growth that you will achieve in life. In an ecosystem, you need to always be the giver. A life of giving is the best way of living. Experiences is something that you should always keep sharing, because we don't know how your experience can help somebody else to take the right decisions which might transform their lives. So all this can happen only when you have a robust and a powerful ecosystem. When you have a powerful ecosystem, your mobile becomes the most powerful tool in your hands, because you know whom to dial for what and when. The ecosystem that I have built has become so robust today that this ecosystem is not restricted only to the magical city of Mumbai, not restricted to the magical state of Maharashtra, not restricted to the beloved country India, but it is across the world in almost majority of the cities. So ecosystem message is clear to everybody. Build a ecosystem throughout your life.
Such a beautiful note to end this podcast on, and thank you so much for the kind of impact that you've created in people's lives. You mentioned 4.5 lakh people. I also know that you've trained thousands and thousands of police officers. You were also a part of the first cyber cell that came in. So the kind of impact that you're leaving, AR, is so incredible. And you spoke about the importance of having a mentor or dronacharya. I think my audience and me, we found a new dronacharya through this podcast. So thank you so much for all the lessons. I have learned a lot. I'm sure my audience has learned a lot. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Would you have any parting words?
So my parting thought is, think big, connect to the resources that can help you to achieve what you thought on a big scale. Be global all the time. Be a local expert, but have global ambitions. The whole world today is one single country. All the visas and the passports are all going to be a thing of the past. Indians are going to be rapidly moving across the country, grabbing opportunities that we'll be able to achieve. India is going to be the next superpower of the world, and you and me can play a very critical role in it, provided we are the best in what we do.
Absolutely. And thank you so much again for being on the show. And I hope this is the first of many other conversations that we can have in the future. Thank you once again for your time.
Thank you so much. The pleasure was entirely mine. And wish you all the best for your future as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karan.
To our audience, thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you found it insightful. If you did, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, share this with your friends and family, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and I'll see you very soon in another episode. Lots of love. Bye.